Hello everybody. Looks like things are working and we have sound. Yes indeed. Sorry I'm late. Let me tell you what we were trying to do, and unfortunately it just didn't work down there for some reason. Welcome to the Montezuma area. I'm actually at East Road right now, and it's well, it was cloudier a little bit ago. It's getting a little sunnier again, but I'm here at the East Road area, getting with special permission to go elsewhere here. We're normally limited to being up here, quite a ways from the activity that might take place down there where the water is. Let's get underway. And we always have long distances to deal with, and sometimes the conditions are better than others. It's really hot in here, so sorry, I'm trying to... Oh, what's that? Is that a turkey vulture in the air? I think so. Anyway, so the idea was, I tried to explain this earlier, but you didn't have any sound, so you couldn't hear me. And anyway, the idea was, because of the way they're restricting things this year, with COVID and everything, they've decided not to allow for the special guided bird walks this year here at looking down on this marsh. Now this marsh, just so you know, is the Knox Marcellus Marsh. And, I've known that for a while, but we always call this East Road or whatever, just because, well, for a number of reasons, including the fact that it's easier to spell East Road than Knox Marcellus. But anyway, so we've been coming here, as you know, but normally they have this time of year, late summer into early fall, they have guided bird walks, but like I said, they're not doing them this year because of COVID. They're afraid of groups of people. Now we can debate on whether having such groups outside, I guess they're also concerned about people sharing scopes and things like that. Okay, whatever. So, they were hoping to maybe do something else where, some people would still be allowed to go, maybe with one or two other people along with them, and they could take photos and maybe videos and then share them with others. And one of the people who was charged with possibly doing that, or requested to do that, his name is Dave Nutter, and he's he knows his birds. And if you've ever seen any of the rare bird alerts, for instance, he's often someone who's there, having posted. So anyway, I don't know what you caught last week, but when we were at Van Dyne Spoor last week, he saw me and I guess recognized me enough to say, I'd like to talk to you when you're not streaming. So after we were done in the Montezuma area last week, I called him, and his idea was, let's if we can stream live from those areas down there where we normally can't go. He has permission to go, we normally don't. So again, this is a restricted area. It's not free to to anybody most of the time, but at certain times they allow people to walk along certain ways. And I was just down there walking along there, closer to the water, and we saw a number of shorebirds. And I'm not going to share that footage with you now, but I tried to broadcast from there, and I just couldn't. It just couldn't get sound or anything. So eventually I had to give up on that idea, unfortunately. I was hoping to have you all with me, and he was hoping to be able to stream also. But we recorded a few things, and maybe, in the coming days, I'm hoping to look at that video footage and maybe process it. And, he did much of the talking in terms of shorebird identification, but it might prove helpful. We did get to see a number of species, and he discussed how to recognize some of these, and that may prove helpful. Hopefully, for me, I'm speaking just for myself, hopefully some of it sinks in and we get to see it. The other things we saw here, I did see 3 sandhill cranes, the 2 parents and 1 adult. They were not close. I mean, we were on one side and they were all the way over on the other side, but we saw them, and I'm not sure really, I mean, look, I am limited now in terms of what I can share, or show from here. Oh, that's a kestrel, I think. American kestrel. I've seen also here, when I first drove in, I saw a red-tailed hawk. I've seen at least 2 kestrels myself here. We saw the 3 sandhill cranes, a number of shorebirds, some egrets, quite a few great blue herons, some blue-winged teals, some mallards, possibly a green-winged teal, and things were challenging. One thing that was nice, we didn't see a large variety of ducks, but we were looking at like the blue-winged teals and how to identify them. Normally, if they're in their regular breeding plumage, it's not that big a deal. But when they're in their eclipse plumage, as so many ducks are this time of year, it can be difficult. So you can't just rely only on color, like I so often do. You need to have an idea of shape, size, proportions, etc. And also, maybe some colors can help sometimes as well. Anyway, I think we're going to move on from here. I know I'm not sharing it well with you. I'll try to find the sandhill cranes just for a moment. If I can find them, I'll show them to you. The colt was getting actually fairly large. I don't see them. Let's take a quick look down there just to get an idea of just how many. You can see how blurry everything is. That's because the sun has come out, and there are quite a few, as I said, great blue herons down there. There are some Canada geese there. So we overall had a nice showing, but it's now getting sunnier. And he, by the way, Dave Nutter is still out there. The only reason why I hurried back to my car, and I know I'm late, I told everybody I would start up at 12:30. Obviously, I'm late. It was closer to 1 o'clock. I don't want to frighten this. There were also gulls of some sort, I'm not sure. Caspian terns. Don't know what else. I was hoping to see other things. We're going to turn around. Well, we're going to keep going this way. Let's head towards, I think, Wildlife Drive. I hate to bother the kestrel, that's all. I just don't want to bother it. So anyway, I had made a special effort to come up here and everything, and I was hoping to share that with you, but maybe next time it'll be better, or I don't, if there is a next time, I'm gonna wait to see. I'm gonna wait to see what I came up with in terms of just video I recorded to see how helpful it might be. As it turns out, things looked fine in some ways on my camera screen, but I'm not sure. We were, even though it was even a little cloudier a little earlier, we were struggling with backlit birds. But I really must emphasize that is a restricted area. So I mean, if you happen to, you know, come here yourself, well, no, you're really not allowed to go down there. What do I see on this power pole here? I think it's an Osprey. No, red-tailed hawk. Hey, baby. May have been the same one. I don't remember where I saw one on the way in. Arrived here at about between 10 and 10:15. Now I will say, oh, it took off, and maybe because of me, I'm not sure. Shoot. I never like to disturb a bird. Well, maybe it's coming back. I will say that, you know, being concerned with what I would be walking through, I mean, you have to worry about, you know, ticks and other pests and everything. Because of that, you know, I wore socks that I could tuck my pants into, my pant legs, and so I'm wearing black pants, black shoes, and white socks. So I realize it's a fashion faux pas, but that's the way it is. So we're actually getting a late start, you know, on a relative basis. I had hoped we would have an early start, and now it's a late start. We're going to pass by an osprey nest. I see an osprey on the arm that extends away from it. And another osprey nest. Hold on, something's wrong. Weird. I don't know if we'll go to Van Dyne Spoor today. I wouldn't mind, but the problem is, I mean, just time, and also right now I have the feeling that sunshine is really troublesome, so we may skip that. I just want to go to, right for now, we're going to go to Wildlife Drive, see what we can see there. And depending on how much time we end up taking there, we'll either go to other places, or else I'll pack up and go to Ithaca. I have a feeling we'll make another stop or two afterwards, but we'll see. As Dave and I discussed, you know, it can be good to go to East Road and places like that later in the day, you know, towards the end of the day. That way the sun isn't so problematic. But what is problematic for me is, you know, just driving on the various roads. I'd rather have fewer winding roads to drive at night, with you know, all the deer that run around and everything. And you never know, it's just that much more dangerous. So that's why I usually do Montezuma first before Ithaca. That was the first time I've ever walked down there. And, you know, is it that unique necessarily? No, not really. I mean, in terms of the types of views, it's not like that much different than, you know, Van Dyne Spoor would be. But, you know, where you're not that far from the water and everything, and it's not like you're looking down on the water. So, I mean, that was helpful. But, you know, we've seen, you know, so many birds there, and, you know, from the East Road viewing area, at least for someone like me, that ends up being, I mean, even if you can identify a bird, let's say you realize, oh, okay, that's a, you know, a greater yellowlegs, you can't really appreciate it so much. I should say, it's at least a lot more difficult to appreciate. You can't see the fine details and everything, not with these conditions and at these distances. But so walking down there, we saw quite a fair variety of shorebirds. Let me think if I can remember them. We saw spotted sandpiper, greater yellowlegs, lesser yellowlegs, least sandpiper. Was it semi-pectoral sandpiper? Semi-palmated plover, not semi-pectoral. It was a semi-palmated. Yeah, it was semi-palmated sandpiper. That's what it was. But we saw, you know, semi-palmated plover, killdeer. What else did we see? So I mean, we saw, you know, a decent variety, and did have the opportunity to see some of those differences between the species. So I'm hoping that the video I recorded came out okay, and that it's worth processing, and also that it picked up Dave's voice. He wasn't standing right next to me, but I'm hoping it picked up his voice as he described the birds and some of the things to look for. And I'm hoping some of that will sink into my thick skull. We also saw one or two turkey vultures, a northern harrier. I mentioned Caspian terns. I mentioned the sandhill cranes. I mentioned the Canada geese, the mallards. Wood ducks I didn't mention, but we saw some. And great egrets. I mean, so I mean, it was actually a decent variety. And you know, once you're down there, and you know, some things were far. It's not like it was all really close all of a sudden. But once you're down there, it does make a difference. We may try doing it again, depending on how everything worked out. And you never know. Maybe that day the signal will work a little better. I don't know. I just couldn't get it going with sound. I tried full restarts, partial restarts. It's a warm day right now. It's reading 87 degrees. You can see it's fairly sunny. Last I checked, there was, you know, the forecast called for no rain until a chance of rain.